What if clothing was never really about hiding the body? What if it was not created because humans felt ashamed? And what if the first garment was something far more important than a piece of material? A wolf carries its protection inside its skin. A bear grows what the winter demands. A bird is born with feathers. But humans entered the cold almost unprotected. Our skin was thin. Our bodies lost heat. Our hands became weak when temperatures fell. Our feet touched frozen ground. And yet, somehow, human beings moved beyond warm grasslands. They crossed mountains. They entered open plains. They survived long winters. They reached places where the unprotected human body should have failed. How? We did something evolution had not yet done for us. We built another skin, a skin that could be removed, repaired, shared, improved, and carried across the world. We turned the body into something unfinished, something that could be modified. The first clothing was not simply decoration. It was portable shelter. It was stored knowledge. It was protection created by the mind. And it may have changed what being human meant. Because once a creature can redesign the surface of its own body, it is no longer waiting for nature to decide what it can become. It has begun deciding for itself. Today, clothing feels ordinary. We wake up. We open a closet. We choose a shirt, a jacket, a pair of shoes. Most of us do not think about survival. We think about comfort, color, price, weather, work, and what other people might think. The original purpose has become almost invisible. The coat is simply a coat. Shoes are simply shoes. We rarely see them as technology. But remove the walls around us. Remove the heating. Remove the car. Remove the store filled with replacements. Now clothing becomes something else. It becomes the line between movement and confinement, between exploration and retreat, between adapting and disappearing. To a modern person, a jacket is an object. To an early human, it was a system. They contain material knowledge, tool knowledge, seasonal knowledge, knowledge of the body, knowledge of weather, and knowledge passed from one person to another. It began long before factories, before shopping centers, before mirrors stood in every home, before fashion magazines, before clothing labels told people what a garment was worth. There was only a vulnerable body and a difficult environment. Nature had not given humans thick fur, so the human mind had to create an answer. The answer probably did not appear in one perfect moment. There may never have been a single inventor of clothing. No one suddenly woke up and designed a fitted winter coat. The process was likely slow. People may first have placed loose hides over their shoulders. They may have wrapped themselves in material while resting. They may have used hides as bedding, as shelter covers, as wind bearers. Over time, someone noticed that material wrapped around the body could move with the body. Someone learned that a hide became more useful after it was clean. Someone discovered that repeated bending made it softer. Someone found a better way to attach two pieces. One observation became another. One useful accident became a repeated method, and a repeated method became culture. This is how many human technologies begin, not with a perfect plan, a web problem that refuses to disappear. Cold is a powerful teacher. It does not care about confidence. It does not care about intention. The body either keeps its heat or it loses it. The challenge was simple. The solution was not. A hide does not become clothing by itself. Fresh material can be heavy. It can be wet. It can stiffen. It can decay. It can lose its shape. Turning it into something wearable required patience. They required a sequence. And sequences are one of the foundations of intelligence. A useful process had to be remembered in the correct order. The material had to be clean. Unwanted tissue had to be carefully removed. The hide could be stretched, worked, softened, dried, smoked, or treated with natural substances. Different groups developed different methods. Some knowledge came from plants, some from fire, some from repeated observation, some from mistakes. A person who worked too quickly could damage valuable material. A person who waited too long might lose it. The hands had to learn pressure. The eyes had to recognize change. The mind had to compare the material before and after treatment. This was not only physical work, it was judgment. Imagine living without written instructions. There was no manual, no measurement chart, no video showing the next step. The knowledge lived inside people. It lived in movement, in memory, in the way an experienced hand touched the surface, in the sound the material made when it bent, in the way an elder recognized that it was ready. Someone had to remember the process, someone had to demonstrate it. Someone else had to watch, and watching had to become understanding. This is cultural memory. Information stored not in books, but in bodies. The process may have taken hours, perhaps days, possibly longer, depending on the material and the method. That means early clothing required something that modern people often underestimate: delayed reward. The person working on a hide was solving a future problem. They were preparing for cold that might not yet have arrived. They were spending energy now to avoid danger later. That is planning, but planning requires imagination. You must picture a future that does not yet exist. You must believe that tomorrow is real. You must understand that your actions today can change what happens when tomorrow arrives. This mental ability seems normal to us, but it is one of the most powerful features of human behavior. An animal may seek shade when the sun becomes hot. The human can prepare insulation months before winter. A human can imagine absence. Imagine scarcity. Imagine the body struggling in a season that has not begun. Then work to protect that future body. The garment was created in the present, but its real purpose existed in the future. After treatment came shaping. Material could not be wasted. There was no endless supply waiting on a shelf. Every cut was a decision. A large piece might protect the torso. A smaller piece could cover the head. Narrow strips could become ties. Other pieces could become patches. Foot coverings required different shapes from shoulder coverings. Loose material might provide warmth, but make movement difficult. Tight material might allow movement, but reduce insulation. The maker had to understand the relationship between body and object. The garment had to bend where the body bent. They had to stay attached while the person walked. They had to protect without becoming another obstacle. This was an early form of design. Not design for beauty alone. Design under pressure. Design where failure had consequences. Once the pieces were shaped, they had to be joined. Small holes could be pierced along the edges. Thread might come from strong plant fibers. In some cultures, sinew could be prepared into durable cord. Bone needles or pointed tools could guide the thread. A simple stitch may seem unimportant today, but a stitch is a small piece of engineering. It distributes force. It joins separate surfaces. It creates a flexible connection. It allows a flat material to become a three-dimensional shape. Each stitch held more than two pieces together. It held time, labor, knowledge, and the possibility of another winter. It also allowed clothing to be repaired. Repair is one of quiet signs of intelligence. A damaged object does not have to be abandoned. Its useful life can be extended. A tear becomes a problem with a solution. A weak area can be strengthened. A patch can preserve hours of previous work. This changes the relationship between humans and material. Objects are no longer temporary. They begin to have histories. A garment may be changed many times, adjusted for another person, repaired after a journey, strengthened before winter passed from an adult to a child. An object that lasts begins to carry memory. One patch remembers damage. One stain remembers work. One repair remembers scarcity. One inherited garment remembers a person who is no longer present. This is where technology begins to become culture. Clothing also demanded cooperation. One person might prepare the material. Another might make core. Another might sew. Someone could gather plants used in treatment. Someone could maintain the fire. Children could watch. And washing could become learning. Learning could become tradition. Tradition could outlive the person who first discovered the method. This gave human groups a powerful advantage. An individual does not need to invent everything again. The group remembers. Each generation can begin where the previous generation ended. This is cumulative culture. A useful method survives. Then it improves. A better tool appears. A stronger stitch is discovered. A more efficient shape is copied. A softer treatment is remembered. Knowledge grows because it can move between minds. The fragile individual becomes part of a durable system. This may be one of the deepest reasons humans became so adaptable. Our bodies were limited, but our knowledge did not have to remain inside one body. It could be demonstrated, copied, corrected, and passed forward. Clothing was therefore more than protection against temperature. It was evidence that a group could preserve a solution longer than any single person could live. But every technology creates a new dependence. Before clothing, the human body was limited by climate. After clothing, humans could enter colder environments. That created freedom, but it also created responsibility. Once a group lived in a region where clothing was necessary, protection was no longer optional. A damaged garment could limit travel. A failed supply could create danger. Lost knowledge could affect an entire community. Preparation created security, but security created pressure. Someone had to do the work. Someone had to maintain the tools. Someone had to carry the knowledge, and some people may have become more skilled than others. Skill creates value. Value can create influence. If one person knew how to prepare the best material, others may have depended on that person. If a family controlled rare resources, it may have gained status. If certain garments required more labor, they may have become symbols of wealth. Useful objects often become social objects. At first, a rare hide may simply offer better protection. Later, it may signal access skill, success authority, or connection to a powerful group. This pattern appears throughout human history. The object that begins as a solution becomes a symbol. A larger shelter becomes a sign of wealth. A stronger wen becomes a sign of power. A rare decoration becomes a sign of rank. Clothing follows the same path. A garment protects the body, but people also see the garment. They make judgments. Who created it? What material was used? How much labor did it require? Who is allowed to wear it? Which group does the pattern represent? The body is protected from nature, but it becomes more visible to society. This creates a new kind of vulnerability. Not exposure to wine, exposure to judgment. A decorated garment can create belonging. It can say, "I'm one of you," but belonging always creates an outside. If one pattern means membership, another pattern may mean difference. If one garment means high status, another may signal low status. The same clothing that brings people together can also separate them. This is not because clothing is naturally cruel. It is because humans read meaning into visible differences. We search for signs. We want to know who is safe, who is familiar, who has authority, who belongs to our group, and who does not. Clothing becomes a fast social language. Before a person speaks, the surface of the body already sends information. This ancient mechanism never disappears. Modern clothing still protects us, but it also ranks us. A uniform signals a role. A suit can signal authority. A luxury item can signal wealth. A worn work jacket can signal labor. A certain style can signal rebellion. Another can signal obedience. Clothing can attract attention, or help a person disappear to a crowd. It can express the self, or hide it. It can make someone feel confident, or remind them that they are being watched. The oldest shelter became one of our oldest social masks, and the more important clothing became, the more humans fear being judged without the correct surface. We escaped one form of vulnerability, then created another. The early human feared the cold. The modern human may fear appearing unsuccessful, unfashionable, poor, weak, bold, different, or invisible. The danger changed. The nervous system did not. The crowd still matters. Belonging still matters. Status still matters. The body still asks, "Am I safe here?" Only now, safety may depend on symbols that exist inside the mind of the group. A person can be physically warm and still feel exposed. They can own many clothes and still feel that they have nothing acceptable to wear. They can change their appearance again and again, hoping to control how others respond. This is the hidden cost of social clothing. We do not only wear material, we wear expectations. The deeper story is not really about leather. It is about the human refusal to remain biologically helpless. Most animals adapt through generations. If the environment changes, natural selection slowly favors bodies that survive better. Thicker fur, different coloring, larger bodies, smaller ears. Changes appear across time. But humans discovered another path. We learned to adapt within a lifetime. We did not grow thicker fur. We made fur removable. We did not evolve claws for cutting. We placed sharpness into stone. We did not grow stronger jaws. We created tools that increased the power of the hand. We did not wait for nature to redesign us. We began redesigning ourselves. Clothing was one of the earliest external organs. Not an organ made of living tissue, but an added system that performed a biological function. It helped control temperature, protected the skin, reduced the effects of wind, allowed the body to travel through environments it was not naturally built to endure. It was a climate carried on the skin, a shelter that moved when we move. This changed the meaning of habitat. For most animals, habitat is a place where the body already works. For humans, habitat increasingly became a place where technology could make the body work. That difference is enormous. A cold region did not have to remain impossible. A sharp landscape did not have to remain forbidden. A long journey did not have to end when temperature changed. The limits of the body could be negotiated, not eliminated, but pushed outward, and every time humans pushed one limit, a new world became available. Clothing may therefore have influenced migration. It may have helped communities remain active in colder seasons. It may have allowed people to travel farther from shelter. It may have protected infants and older members of a group. It may have expanded the range of places where human families could live. But even more important, it changed how humans understood themselves. The body was no longer a finished object. It became a platform. Tools could extend the hand. Foot coverings could change the relationship with the ground. Clothing could alter temperature. Shelter could create artificial climate. Fire could change night. The human being became surrounded by extensions: an extended hand, an extended skin, an extended memory, an extended community. This may be the beginning of the world we live in now. A phone extends memory. A vehicle extends movement. The internet extends communication. Medicine changes what the body can survive. Glasses change what the eye can see. A spacesuit allows a human body to enter a place where an unprotected human would last only moments. The principle is ancient. The body has limits. The mind builds another layer. Every layer creates new freedom, and every layer creates new dependence. A person wearing a spacesuit is powerful, but completely dependent on the suit. A person living in a heated building can survive severe cold, but becomes dependent on energy systems. A person using digital memory can store enormous amounts of information, but may struggle when access disappears. Technology solves weakness by moving the function outside the body. That is both our greatest strength and one of our deepest risks. The first hide garment was a small step in this direction, but it contained the entire pattern: a biological problem, an imagined solution, a material transformation, knowledge shared through a group, a new ability, and a new dependence. Clothing was also a memory that could be worn. A repair garment remembered scarcity. A handed-down garment remembered family. A decorated garment remembered identity. A special garment might remember ceremony, loss, achievement, or responsibility. The surface of the body became a place where the invisible could become visible. Belief could become pattern. Rank could become color. Grief could become dress. Community could become symbol. This is why clothing can feel deeply personal even when it is mass-produced. It sits at the boundary between the self and the world. It is touched by the body, but seen by everyone else. It belongs to us. That its meaning is partly controlled by society. A person may choose a garment, but cannot fully choose how others interpret it. This tension has existed for thousands of years. Clothing says, "This is how I wish to enter the world." The world answers with its own judgment. The deeper human question is therefore not simply, why did humans begin wearing animal skins? The deeper question is, what can a weak body do in a world stronger than itself? It can learn. It can cooperate. It can remember. It can prepare. It can build a second body. Not from bone. Not from muscle. But from knowledge. Today, our clothing is softer, faster to produce, cheaper to replace. We can own more garments than an ancient person could have imagined. A damaged shirt may be discarded instead of repair. A jacket may be replaced because its style has changed, not because it has stopped protecting the body. The original struggle feels distant, but the ancient questions remain. What are we protecting? The body, our place in the group, our status, our confidence, or the image we cannot bear to lose. The first clothing helped humans enter a larger world, but every layer also changed how humans saw themselves. We became the animal that could redesign its own surface, and then we began confusing the surface with the self. We look into the mirror and ask whether the outer layer is acceptable, whether it is attractive, whether it appears successful, whether it says the right thing. Sometimes clothing allows the inner person to speak. Sometimes it helps the inner person remain hidden. Uniform can provide identity, but it can also erase individuality. Fashion can offer freedom, but it can also create pressure. A luxury item can create confidence, but only while the crowd agrees that it has value. The ancient garment protected a fragile body from a powerful environment. The modern garment often protects a fragile identity from a powerful society. The cold outside became the judgment outside. The wind became the gaze. The storm became comparison. And the body still searches for shelter. Perhaps this is why clothing remains so emotional. It does not simply touch the skin. It touches memory, status, belonging, fear, desire, and the hope that we can control how the world sees us. Long ago, an early human wrapped material around a vulnerable body. That action said something simple: I want to survive this world. Every garment since has added another sentence: this is who I am. This is where I belong. This is what I have achieved. This is what I want you to see. And this is what I am still afraid to reveal. The next time you put on a coat, pause for a moment. You are not only wearing fabric, you are wearing thousands of years of remembered coal, remembered labor, remembered fear, and remembered intelligence. You are wearing the solution of people who understood that the human body was not enough, not because it was worthless, but because it was unfinished. They did not wait for evolution to give them another skin. They imagined one, they built it, they repaired it, they taught others how to make it, and then they carried that knowledge into places the human body had never belonged before. That may be the hidden truth behind the first clothing. Human beings survive not because we are naturally prepared for every world. We survive because we are able to imagine what is missing, and then create it. The first garment was not only something placed over the body, it was a declaration that nature could set the conditions. But humans would search for another answer, a declaration that weakness could become invention, that memory could become protection, that cooperation could become power, and that a fragile animal, standing in the cold, could create a second skin and change the future of its entire species.